these are my top 5 SWAC coaches going into the fall. It's a little sticky, okay? It's going to be a lot of explaining going down. But as you can see, I value SWAC championships. Number 1. Number 2, head-to-head games do mean something to me. But championships swamp all of that. I'm not sitting around looking at records and win percentages if we aren't winning SWAC or MEAC championships. When it's about being the best coach in the SWAC, it's about winning SWAC championships, not having the highest ranking or having the highest record. It's not about that. It's about winning the games that matter the most. So, Coach Fred McNair, you're a top. You're number 1. You are the guy. He's one of the longest tenured coaches in the SWAC that are of the active coaches today. Now, one thing I will talk about with this SWAC and all these top coaches, a lot of these coaches are new. A lot of these coaches are within 1 or 2 years of their hiring. It's very hard to rank a full top 12 of all of these coaches when half of the coaches are in their first year, right? A little difficult to understand coaching style and philosophy when some of these coaches have only had 1 recruiting cycle, maybe 2 recruiting cycles. We're not even sure what type of guys they want at quarterback in some cases. So, I digress. Connell Maynor at 2. He gets 2. They won 1 SWAC championship. They won it during the COVID year, during the COVID spring year. I don't care. Y'all take your asterisks, throw them in the trash. If your team would have won them, y'all would have won that SWAC championship too. Be real. So, with Connell Maynor winning that SWAC championship, I put him at number 2. Connell Maynor's record in the SWAC is not as high as other coaches like Willie Simmons. His record in the SWAC is actually 29-20. He is 0-2 versus Willie Simmons. He is also 0-2 versus Coach McNair. Oh, and another thing I should have brought up, I'm so sorry, I'm kind of jumping all over the place. But with Coach Fred McNair, he is 4-1 against Coach Eric Dooley. 4-1. A lot of people really value Coach Eric Dooley and where he should be at on this list. But he's 4-1 against him. But he is 0-2 versus Willie Simmons. All right, so as I said with Connell Maynor, he's my number 2. Really given because of his SWAC championship, that puts him up there for me. The rest of these coaches have not won a SWAC or MEAC championship as a head coach. Coach Willie Simmons got close in 2019 year, but that year was voided. So, number 3, I got Coach Willie Simmons. 2015, he was at Prairie View A&M as head coach. He moved to FAMU for the A&M in 2018 and was coach of them in the MEAC and during their move into the SWAC, where FAMU is now. So, Coach Willie Simmons' record in the SWAC, though, is actually one of the best records of all of these coaches. It's 54-23. They're first place in the MEAC in 2019. Coach Willie Simmons has got out some great prospects in Marquise Bill and Isaiah Land, 2 guys that are at the Cowboys right now. And he is 2-0 versus Coach Fred McNair. He is 4-1 versus Connell Maynor. And he's 2-0 versus Eric Dooley. It's impressive. Coach Willie Simmons is extremely impressive in the regular season. When it comes to winning and beating certain teams and beating upper echelon teams, quite honestly, because if we look at it, Coach McNair has been with Alcorn State. Coach Maynor has been with Alabama A&M. And Coach Dooley has been with Prairie View A&M and Southern. Those are good teams to beat, right? That's a great resume. I think Coach Willie Simmons, of most of these coaches, has one of the better resumes in the SWAC. The SWAC championship is what keeps him at 3, in my opinion. So, Coach Willie Simmons, with a 54-23 record in the SWAC, I got to give him 3. It's a little tough, a little difficult, but I got to give him 3. If you win a SWAC championship, he does have all the accolades, I think, to be number 1, if we're going to be honest. Coach Fred McNair has 2 SWAC championships, but even having 1 with the record that Coach Willie Simmons has puts you in the mix, right? So, at 4, we got Coach Eric Dooley. Coach Eric Dooley started coaching the SWAC in 1997. He had a host of assistant coaching jobs throughout the 2000s, but his head coaching record in the SWAC is only 27-22. And he is actually 1-4 versus Coach Fred McNair. Tough pill to swallow for any Eric Dooley fans, but Eric Dooley, and as he's been known as the offensive guru in the SWAC, has won a lot of games, being a part of a lot of great winning traditions. But as the head coach, he's had a hard time winning the big one. Then 5th, Bubba McDowell. All right, so I should have put an asterisk next to Bubba McDowell's name because that's where it comes in. 8 coaches are in their first or second year coaching in the SWAC. All right. There are new leaders at the following schools: Grambling, Jackson State, Alabama State, Bethune-Cookman, Mississippi Valley, University of Arkansas Pine Bluff, Prairie View A&M, and Southern. That's 8 of the 12 teams in the SWAC. There are only 4 teams in the SWAC that had the same head coach from 2020. A little over 2 years ago. So I say that to say, when it comes to ranking the top 12 coaches in the SWAC, got to understand that some of these guys are still building their programs. We've got to take into account that it takes time to install philosophies, and it takes time to recruit the right guys, and it takes time to make real changes for a football program in the SWAC, in the MEAC, or in any college football program in the nation. In 1 year or 2 years' time, you may not see everything you want to see from that coach. Coach Bub McDowell, to me, is tied with 3 other coaches. He's tied with Coach Hugh Jackson, and he's also tied with Coach Eddie Robinson, Alabama State. All 3 of these coaches have made big strides in their own ways. Coach Hugh Jackson's done a great job with branding and the recruiting trail. Coach Eddie Robinson's done a great job competing with a roster that pretty much was already, that he inherited, right? Coach Bud McDowell's done a great job competing at Prairie View A&M and almost making them to a SWAC championship. So you have to give them their just due. But at the end of the day, at 6-5, 3-8, and 6-5, as your total record in the SWAC as a head coach, doesn't make you a top 5 coach, does it? But in this scenario, it would, given the fact that we have so many new coaches in the SWAC. Now do you kind of see the caveat that I have to understand and take this way? I kind of take this list with a grain of salt. Because to me, in ranking a top 10 list, top 12 list of SWAC coaches, it's too many new coaches.